Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Yoga for Back Pain Workshop. Today is Tuesday, December 15th. We are so grateful to have Lois Heitner with us today to explore the most common causes of back pain and also to lead us in how yoga can help us both with the prevention and treatment of many back pain ailments.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. I just wanted to say that this is a presentation. It's informative. It's not a diagnosis of your particular problem or, suggested or a therapeutic for you. It's a presentation. We'll have a question and answer period afterwards. So here I am. And I have been a yoga instructor for over 20 years. And a lot of my students would come to me and say, my doctor said to do yoga for back pain. I have back pain. So I would go and I would look up, I'd go on the internet, I'd go read my yoga journals or my books, and I'd find out what the protocol was for that back pain. They'd tell me it's sciatica or it's a herniated disc, whatever it is, and I'd look it up. And then I would see the poses and I would incorporate those poses in my class with them or if I did a private. And that's been going on. And then all of a sudden this year, I got back pain. And now I really understood, oh my goodness, what it's like. And here is a quote from Dr. Fishman. Back pain is like an emotion. It affects your general emotional state. It can be transitory or last longer. Back pain can affect your personality. It is exhausting. And so I started studying with Dr. Fishman, who's a rehabilitation doctor. He's a medical doctor, but rehabilitative and specialized in sciatica too. And as I studied with him, I decided to become a certified, particularly in this back pain, mainly to help myself and help my students too. And let's look at back pain. So if you're here, you may be experiencing back pain. It's actually one of the leading causes of disability worldwide. And it affects 8 out of 10 people sometime in their lives. I never thought I'd have back pain. And then all of a sudden, because I'd been doing yoga for so long, America spends $50 billion annually on back pain. Now, back pain's a symptom. It's not a diagnosis. And that's what we're going to talk about here, about finding your diagnosis. Going to your teacher and your yoga teacher saying, I have back pain. It's general. So we need to find out the cause of the back pain. This presentation might help you to discover that for yourself. And I like to think of sensation as your best teacher. In other words, where your pain is and just understanding your own pain. So sensation is your best teacher is a nice quote. And here's something. So sciatica is like a pain in the ass. So what I mean by that is people say, oh, I have sciatica. Well, you also say, my uncle Jerry is a pain in the ass. Is he a pain in the ass because he criticizes me, or he eats funny, or his politics are different, or maybe he just calls me too much? So sciatica is like your crazy uncle. There's so many different causes. So just saying you're have sciatica to a yoga teacher is not going to give you a way to treat it. Let's look at our spine, because the spine is actually the cause of a lot of our back pain. And the spine is important because it protects the spinal cord, which is in there. So look at, can you see my little arrow? Here's the spinal cord going right through here. Can you see my, anybody who's there? Can you see the arrow? Any post? Okay.
Yes, I can see your little arrow cursor, Lois.
Oh, okay, great. And it attaches, here's the brain, and here's the end of it. It attaches the head to the pelvis, and it supports the head. Of course, the head is up here, and it has flexibility and mobility, and it absorbs shock and stress from movement. Now, if you have back pain and have a diagnosis, they're always going to tell you where it is. Look at our spine here. We've got 4 different areas. We've got the cervical, which is the neck. We've got the thoracic, which is the middle of the back, because this is the part that's protecting our lungs. The lumbar, which is the lower back, which most people seem to feel their pain in. And then there's the sacrum and the coccyx. So if you have had an MRI or an X-ray and you say, oh, I got problem in my T1 and T2, that's your thoracic area here. Most people have their pain in the lumbar. Most of the problems happen in the lumbar spine. Now let's look at the types of pain that we have here. There's 2 types of pain. And this is, how do we figure out what type of pain do we have? There's musculoskeletal pain. This is general pain. And that can happen with injuries to the bones, the joints, the muscles, the ligaments, the nerves. That's your musculoskeletal pain, or there's neurological pain. And that's damage to the nervous system. Hello? The peripheral nerves, here's these peripheral nerves. And to the spine, to the spinal cord or to the brain. Those are the different types of pain. Now, let's look at the spine itself, the spine itself. So here's our spinal cord. Now this spinal cord, this is the central nerve system for our entire body. So it's got a nice little package here. Look at this. We've got some bones behind it, and we've got these big vertebrae in front of it. We've got some nice discs here that cushion the vertebrae. And inside, we've got this fluid, this nucleus pulpus, which is kind of like a jelly, which also is to absorb the shock. So what could possibly go wrong with all this wonderful support of the spine? Well, if you're in this workshop, you probably know. Let's look at the rest of the back of the spine here. This one doesn't have the, so this is from the front. It's from the front. The facets, those big bones are on the back. If you feel your spine right now and you feel those little bony things, those are the facets. And here are the facets from the side. Now these facets, these are these little bones that allow you the flexion and the extension. You allow this movement. So all of these things are made to protect the spine. But we got one little problem. Let's go back here and look at it. When this spine was created, it was not created for us to walk upright for 70 or 80 or 90 years. So because of, or sitting, or all the things that we humans do, so things go wrong. There are 7 major causes of back pain, and we're going to talk about finding the cause of your back pain. There's the neurological causes. Now, if you've been told you have a herniated disc, where the disc itself, go back to the disc here. Here's the disc right in there, comes popping out. That's a neurological problem because you're right there by the spinal cord. If you have spinal stenosis, then you've got the disc narrowing, where instead of this support protecting the spinal cord, it's narrowing into it, and that can be caused. We'll see what that can be caused by. Let's just talk about the causes. You can have musculoskeletal ones, and that cause of back pain would be if you have tight muscles. Basically, the hamstring or the buttock muscles are very, very tight. Then the muscles are causing the back pain, or the SI or sacroiliac joints. You know, I remember they used to say, "Oh, my sacroiliac." That used to be like a joke. Well, it's not a joke. And these SI joints, I'll call them SI joints, can become misaligned or inflamed. So that's where the skeletal bones or muscles can cause the pain. And here they are. Here's the sacroiliac. So now we see our spine. Here's the pelvis. And these little joints are right in here. Now, who would think that those joints would cause so much problem? But they have the ability to move. And if they're inflamed, and if they are misaligned, they will cause a lot of pain. And then you have what's called SI joint derangement or misalignment. So here we are with our pelvis coming back from our spine. And then there's the third kind, and this is mixed, where you have both nerve and muscle and bones or bones causing your problem. And a very common one is called Piriformis Syndrome. And the piriformis is a muscle that is in the butt that the sciatic nerve goes through. And when that muscle impinges upon that nerve, it hurts. Trust me, I have it. It hurts. Hurts right down your leg. And then there's spondylolisthesis, which is one disc moves in front of the other disc. And then, of course, the spinal cord, if you're moving these discs, let's look at them. If one disc is moving in front of the other one, it's trapping that spinal cord right in there. And that causes, and that happens to be something else that I seem to have. And arthritis, which deteriorating the bones in the spine. So you know, if you have arthritis in your hands, which I do, that you get these bony growths. Well, imagine getting a bony growth right here from these facets. It's going to go right into the spinal cord, and it's going to trap that spinal cord and cause a stenosis, which I have too. All these things I've learned since I have been studying this and seeing a physician. All right, so now we're going to go to the neurological pain, because you want to know, do I have neurological pain? Do I have muscle pain? So if you have a numbness or a weakness going down the leg, a tingling, pins and needles, sharp pain, radiating pain, that's neurological pain. Neurological pain is kind of like, it's electric, goes right down the leg, and it's usually down the leg, and it's usually the sciatica is sciatica is considered a neurological pain, not necessarily caused by it could be muscular in its cause, but it is the pain is neurological. All right, and then here we go. Here's our sciatica. So the sciatica, look at all these different causes of sciatica. So here where I'm talking about the crazy uncle again, all these things could cause your sciatica, and each of those different causes, you may need a different therapy for it. Now I want you to look at this. I think this is the coolest thing around. This is called the Dermatome Chart. Now, if you look here, you see the spine? L5, L4, L3, see all the spine? Each of these lines is a nerve going out to the body. So if you have, let's say here's my L5, L5. If I have an impingement on the nerve in L5, I can follow this down and I'll see it goes all the way down to the side of my leg. It's where I actually have it. And if it's in here in the sacrum, maybe it goes down the back of the leg and right to the toe. So very often, by saying where your pain where your pain radiates, can tell the origin, which part of your spine this pain originates in. And that's, again, how we can sometimes diagnose where the pain originates from. So now the muscular pain. Muscular pain, actually, if you have back pain, I'd prefer to have muscular pain because that's an easier one to solve. Very often it'll go away in a few weeks. And the muscular pain is usually higher in the back, the upper, low, middle back, and it's usually a dull ache. And sometimes you can get spasms with muscular pain. You can also have muscular pain if you have tight hamstrings also. Very often poor posture, especially you get the muscular pain. If you're in your, looking at your screen and you're bending forward and the spine is in flexion for long periods of time, that muscle is going to be stretched too much. And I'm going to go back. Everybody take your shoulders, bring your shoulders back, because looking at it right now, I see how I can get neck pain from just looking at this screen. So muscular pain can be caused by, as we said, the poor posture, repetitive motions by doing this, using the same muscle all the time in the same way, emotional stress. Sometimes back pain is actually can be caused by emotional stress. Now, the difference between sprains and strains for muscular pain. A sprain is a ligament that's overstretched. So you can get a sprain. Sometimes you reach something too quickly, falling down. Can also give you a muscular pain. And the strain is the muscle or tendons. And those become overstretched. So all of these things can cause your muscular pain. All right, so now we got neurological pain, we got muscular pain. What are we going to do about it? Well, first of all, you have to find out, be in touch with your pain. What I've done and what I recommend is to keep a pain diary. In other words, what movements relieve or exasperate your pain? When do you feel the pain the most? When did the pain start? Did you fall down? Did you, for me, I was in a kayak. I was in a kayak for a couple of hours and it was really, really windy. And I was pulling and I was pulling and I got out of the kayak and oh my God, all of a sudden, where I had felt pain before, there it was. And so then I said, well, okay, what did I do in the kayak? How was I moving? So I started keeping a pain diary and I still do. When you wake up in the morning, when you get up from sitting, this is really important when you go to your doctor or you go to your therapist because they will ask you these questions, and these questions, the answers to these questions will help to diagnose your pain, and also for you to be in touch with the pain and to try and avoid things that make it worse. Keep moving. So I was talking to Fern in the start, and my mom, she suffered from back pain since I was like a little girl. She always had back pain. And when she would get the back pain, they would put her on the bed. It said stay in bed for weeks. She went into the hospital. In 1990, in the early 2000s. She had back pain. She had terrible back pain. They put her in the hospital, put her flat on the bed for 2 weeks, and gave her injections of cortisone. What happened? She got MRSA because the cortisone affected her her immune system. She was in the hospital. She got MRSA. So keep moving, low impact. You can walk, gentle yoga moves. I know when my back hurts me, I go for a walk and it helps. The movement helps to get those joints warmed up and also bring them more into alignment. Sitting for many people is the worst thing for a low back. And you want to sit when it hurts, but keep moving, walk. Now, very important to strengthen your core because the core, your abdominal organs, those are the ones that support your spine and the back. And with a strong core, you are supporting the spine itself so that it can be lengthened and it can be supported basically. And then, of course, if your pain persists, you need to see a doctor. You need to get an x-ray, you need to get an MRI, EEG. These are all things that will give information. And I will admit to you that I waited too long to see my doctor. I thought, oh, I'm a yogi. I can figure it out. And when I found out what my problem was, I realized that were certain moves in yoga that contributed to my problem, did not help my problem. So do get an x-ray, do get a diagnosis of your problem if it persists. And I say 6 weeks, but you could go earlier than that, especially if you have a trauma that causes it. So now let's look at how yoga can help with back pain. So these are the things that, I'm going to make this bigger, that yoga, and I'm making this big because, woo, there we go. These are some of the things that I wrote down that I found that yoga. First of all, yoga gives you the postural awareness. Poor posture is one of the major causes of back pain because that curve, that natural curve, is being compromised by your poor posture. It also helps balance and it helps your coordination, which helps with your posture and helps you to, it avoids falls, and a fall can create a back problem also. Very important is it stretches the spine. So we know we have those little discs in there. And those little discs from us standing upright for all these years, that disc material starts to compress. And when you're in a yoga class, we lengthen the spine. If you've ever been in any of my yoga classes, first thing we do is we lengthen, we breathe, and we lengthen that spine. And then we increase our range of motion. So we want to keep those bones moving. Again, if those bones aren't moving, what happens? You get arthritis, all sorts of contributing to different problems that you might have. And the other thing about yoga is that it builds the strength. So if you have a back, an issue, a physiological issue, you need to strengthen the muscles around the spine as well as in the core to support that spine, which maybe isn't being supported by all that neat stuff around it that we saw on the discs and the facets and the vertebrae. And it also builds the bone cells, so it gets you stronger. And the other thing is it decreases anxiety. Now, didn't we say that stress can be a cause of back pain? and it quiets the mind. So the other thing is it activates the endorphins, which are actually our natural painkiller. I find that when I do after I go for a walk, or sometimes if I do a nice strong yoga pose, my pain is away, but then it comes back. Internal body awareness is really, really important. Where does it hurt? Which side does it hurt? When does it hurt? Being aware of the sensations in your body. And that goes back to what I did in the front, is that sensation is your best teacher. The other thing about yoga is practically free if you do it on your own. If you come to yoga on Zoom, it's free. So once you know, I'm going to bring this back down. Once you know what your condition is, if you know what your condition is, then, and you are a yogi or you have a good yoga teacher, then there are particular poses for each condition. There are poses that are therapeutic and there are poses that are counterproductive. Here's a few examples of some poses. So if you have a herniated disc means that the disc itself is cut, opened, and that stuff, this stuff here, you see this nucleus pulpillus? It's coming out, and the herniated disc is usually, it's right here. Now this is the front of you. So if you have a herniated disc, whoops, you do back bends to help to create a vacuum that will actually push that disc back into alignment. And some back bends are the locust, the bridge, and the cobra. So we're just going to do a cobra on the chair if you're interested to see what. Here we go. So we're going to put your hands down, put your back to the chair. Here we go. Press your elbows in and just lift. Now, just lift the chest a bit, just a bit. And most of the herniated disc is actually in the thoracic part of the spine. So you just lift the chest and you've got a nice little cobra. Be careful of your neck. Locust is done on the ground and bridge you do on the ground. But that would be our cobra on the chair. Now, if you have spinal stenosis, which I actually do, you don't do back bends. Now, why did I do that cobra if I can't do back bends? Well, because I know that my spinal stenosis is way down here, and I do not do the back bend here. For spinal stenosis, which is that narrowing, you do forward bends. Child pose, forward fold, hand to foot pose. These are all poses that will help with the spinal stenosis, and it actually makes it feel better. So for a forward bend on our chair, just take your hands, and we're not going to bend the spine. Actually, we're going to lengthen the spine before we do our forward bend. So take a few breaths. Feel your sits bones onto the chair. Release your butt cheeks. Put your hands on your thighs, towards your knees, and just come forward with a straight back. Now, inhale and lengthen the head up, 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 up. Drop the shoulder blades down. Press your tailbone into the chair and just come forward just a bit. Here we go. That's your forward bend. Now for me, it feels really good because I've got the spinal stenosis. We do not want to release you can, depending on your condition. Again, this is not this, you can choose to participate or not in this. Just showing you a few things. If you lean forward like this, it may impinge. So we're just going to go straight back. All right. Tight hamstrings. A lot of guys have tight hamstrings. And that can cause, that tight hamstrings, they can go right into the back. It can cause sciatica. So downward dog, we all know our downward dogs. Again, a forward fold, triangle, hand to foot. The only way that I could show you for your tight hamstrings on the chair, and oh, I forgot if I had a strap, I would bring, this is hand to foot. This is hand to foot on the chair. Hand to foot on the lying down is much safer because your back is supported and you stretch your hamstrings. And then there's SI joint derangement. And that's where those SI joints, here they are out of kilter. And that can happen if you step into a pothole and then it just, instead of your spine being aligned like that, it's misaligned. That's actually one of the easiest ones to cure with yoga. And you start with a warm bath and then the floating seat. So what's the floating seat? So here I am on my seat. I'm going to let my pelvis, now I'm not up that much, but my pelvis is kind of just sinking with gravity. I'm pressing down and lifting up. And that's for SI joint derangement. These are just some examples. Piriformis syndrome. Now for Piriformis syndrome, mostly you need to bring the knee out. So here is one for Piriformis syndrome. When my back was hurting me, I always wanted to sit like this. It just felt so good. And that's because this is stretching the piriformis muscle. And just pressing down here. Oh, that feels so good to me. It might not feel good to you because maybe that's not your problem, or maybe you're very tight there. But this would be something on the chair for Piriformis syndrome. Okay, so let's sum up what I've talked about so much. First thing that I suggest to anybody with back pain is to observe this pain. Like I talked about, keeping that pain diary. When does it hurt the most? Does it hurt getting up in the morning? Getting up from a chair, from a seat? A lot of truck drivers get sciatica from sitting in their trucks. When I go on a long trip and I get up, I can barely move sometimes. And I start walking and I walk it off. It comes off. So what movements help the pain or hurt the pain? So one of the things that I found is that when I was doing my yoga classes, I would go into upward facing dog. And then as soon as I went into downward facing dog, my legs would kill me. Sciatica would go zip. And I didn't realize at that point that back bends, that told me that back bends were not good for me because of my spondylolisthesis. And that was a cue, but I hadn't taken this course yet, and I didn't know this. So your body, again, can help to tell you what is beneficial for you and what is not beneficial for you. And it's great to find poses that can help relieve the pain. So I know that when I get this pain, sometimes I just have to either put my foot like this or whatever pose can relieve the pain. And it does for a certain amount of time. And then for me, it seems to come back, but maybe not for you. Very important to strengthen the core, no matter what your back problem is, strengthen your core. Now, how you strengthen your core depends on if there's certain moves that are not beneficial for you. If you shouldn't do back bends, you don't strengthen it with that. If you can't do forward bends, but strengthening your core is paramount to help with your back pain. And then again, you need to see a professional. Now I'm saying again, 6 weeks or earlier. If you have a trauma, you might want to see it earlier than that, but don't just let it go. I feel that just covering it up, taking those ibuprofen, and I love those ibuprofen because they help. Just covering it up is not going to help you to treat it. So see somebody if it continues. Don't just cover it up because you can't take ibuprofen forever. Now, if you decide, if you have a diagnosis and you wish to explore non-surgical options, you can contact a yoga therapist or a good yoga teacher, experienced yoga teacher that will help you with a program to help your condition. There are many self-study books on the subject available. I'm just giving you the book that I use, the reference from my teacher, Lauren Fishman, Healing Yoga, as a really good book that describes all of these conditions. There are many other books also, and the library has tons of books on yoga, yoga for back pain that are available. And as this is part of our wellness program and self-care, check it out if that's where you're interested to. So that is the conclusion of, if you have more questions and you want to contact me, we're going to have questions and answers now for about 15 minutes. You can contact me at my name at gmail.com. And I would be glad to answer any other questions, personal questions that you do not wish to share with everybody here. Again, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm just giving you yoga as an option